Give it to me like.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. Before we start the presentation, let me introduce myself and my group member. My name is Siti Nabila binti Tahir Jalaluddin. We have 5 members in this group, including myself. My group member, I'm with Nurul Shakirah binti Asri, Natasha Zulaika binti Asri, Sharifah Razia binti Sheikh Salim, Muhammad Zaiful Nizam bin Ibrahim. The topic that will be discussed in this presentation on the type of recognition and its process. So let me start with the introduction first, and the rest will be continued with my members. Employee organized and the joint trade union for the varieties of reasons, including the recognitions. The first is to protect themselves from the financial exploitation and by their employers, and the second is to improve the better service term and condition. Grievance and process collective bargaining can help with this. As a result, before a trade union may do so, the employer must acknowledge it as a prerequisite or starting point. The importance of the presentation in the collective bargaining process and in the pursuit of peaceful labor relations cannot be overstated. In Malaysia, workers are free to create and join trade unions. The Trade Union Act 1959 and the Industrial Relations Act 1967 govern trade union recognitions in Malaysia at the moment. IRA 1967. Any workers' organization or employer organization within any particular establishment, trade, occupations, or industry, or within any similar trades, occupation, or industry, whether the temporary or permanent, and having the object listed in the provision as a part of its trade union constitution. It can be defined as the trade union under TUA 12. Successful collective bargaining and the collective agreements that has been obtained ensure the harmonious relation between the employers and the employees. Collective bargaining and the collective agreement both demand a high level of the collaboration and acknowledgement of each party interest. Collective bargaining is an oral procedure that leads to collective agreement, which is a written instrument that binds the employer and the trade union.
Concept of recognition. It formally acknowledging a certain trade union as a lawful representation of their employees. Trade unions have designated by the company to advocate on behalf of the employees. Trade union is given legal authorization to represent workers. Collective bargaining and collective agreements will apply to all employees in the company. If a trade union is discovered to be acting illegally or failing to follow the law standards, it can be deregistered. Scope of representative. Recognition is linked to the unionization of certain sorts of employees. White-collar and blue-collar employees unions were the first and second form of employees unions, respectively. For example, a variety of unions have been founded in huge organizations such as Malayan Banking Berhad or Maybank, each representing a different level of personnel. In Maybank, there are Association of Maybank Class 1 Officers, Association of Maybank Executive, Kesatuan Pengawal-Pengawal Keselamatan Malayan Banking, and lastly, Maybank Non-Executive Employees Union.
Now we see the requirement for recognition. We have 5 requirements for recognition. The first one is the registered union. Workers who want to create a trade union must apply for registration with the Director General of Trade Union. Application for registration must be signed by at least 7 members. The application must include the union name and location. The Department of Trade Union may also demand an additional information. The second one for requirement for recognition is the union must make formal application. A formal application for recognition, once the union has effectively organized the employer in a specific workplace, it will seek recognition for the employer. The employer's willingness to voluntarily recognition a union is heavily influenced by the management attitude. The third one is competent to represent it. It must be restricted to the same establishment, business, trade, or occupancy as job. Trade union executives may struggle to manage their member. A number of very qualified, professional, and devoted trade union leaders have developed over time. While trade union confronts significant challenge in organizing workers, in Sabah and Sarawak, a number of effective and vocal trade union leaders work in this area. The fourth one is appropriate union to represent. The union must be appropriate in order to represent the employers involved. Employer and employees both have the right to join trade union. When most people think of a trade union, they see a collection of employees. Employers' union are a reaction to the massive and strong national employer trade union. Okay, lastly, for requirement for recognition is sufficient represent. The union must be adequately representative of the employer with at least 50 members. The number and density of membership as well as the financial state of the union are all important considerations. The size of the membership is an important determination in union strength. Unions are expected to be as cooperative as possible by the government and employers.
The importance of recognition. Employer recognition is critical when the union is acknowledged as the legitimate representation of his or her employees and has the authority to speak on their behalf. If there is no recognition, the union will be unable to begin collective bargaining and improve harmonious working relations. The initiation of collective bargaining and collective agreement also serve to protect employees' well-being and to prevent employers from acting arbitrarily. It involves employees in decision-making and helps to avoid unilateral decisions. It pressurizes the management. Unions provide a forum for workers and employers to communicate, which helps to establish trust and commitment among employees and ensure that issues are discovered and handled swiftly and fairly. Better employment terms and conditions. To improve the status of their employment or their working life, they must negotiate with their employer through a union. Lastly, mandate to represent. The mandate gives the union representative the authority to represent employees in any employment-related topic while also allowing them to participate in organizational decision-making. There are 4 types of recognition: general, limited, statutory, and voluntary recognitions. General recognitions includes employees who join the trade union, collective bargaining members, and non-members must be members for general recognitions. It is a representation for employees protecting their rights and engaging in collective bargaining. The MTUC is a government-run organization that became a labor union and was registered under the Societies Act of 1955. Limited recognition. The union has limited recognition, which means it may only represent its members on grievance and personal satisfaction. Limited recognition differs from general recognition in that general recognition focuses on claim, and limited recognition is more specific in that the trade can only represent its own members in case of grievance and personal satisfaction. Voluntary recognition is recognition that has the complete agreement of the employers but does not need any legal procedure. To grant the right to defend the employees without going through any formal procedures with the unions. Voluntary recognition gives the union flexibility and can prevent the union from having an alternative to safeguard employees' rights. Statutory union recognition. Statutory recognition is used when the employers do not agree to the trade union's voluntary recognitions. A union has the right to get recognition for employees who make up at least 10% of the union's group members. The Central Arbitration Committee, CAC, is a statutory body participating in this union.
Process of filling recognition form. Stage 1, application. Claim must be made in writing and filled out in the approved form, like claim for recognition form by the union, like claim for recognition form or Form A. Stage 2, employer's reply. Voluntary recognition, refuse to grant recognition, and fail to reply. Stage 3, union report to DGIR. The union has 40 days to report to Director General of Industrial Relations for future Department of Industrial Relations action. Stage 4, action by DGIR. Director General has the authority to determine whether the workers are within the scope. Stage 5, ministry level. The minister shall make his decision on receipt of a notification under subsection 4C if the minister decides that recognition is to be accorded. Effect of recognition. No other trade union shall make any claim for recognition in respect of the same workman or class of workmen unless a period of 3 years has elapsed after such recognition was given. Recognized is no longer in existence. A recognized union is a legal representation when it has been recognized. A union may prepare for collective bargaining to take place. A union can determine what will be covered in a collective agreement, and a union can enhance the employer-employee, employee-to-employee, or employer-to-employer connection. The conclusion is that recognition is critical to achieving the aims and objectives of the trade union's operation. The rationale behind it also defines the interaction between employers and workers in achieving a pleasant atmosphere and defending the interests of all persons of all groups within an organization in industrial relation. For economic operation and national growth, trade union and employer relations are inextricably linked, with strong connection between the two parties. All activity in their respective areas will be launched without conflict or unsolved difficulties.
Give it to me like